Hola. Well, thanks for the introduction and thank you so much for joining us here. My name is Sebastián. I am super excited to have you joining us for this conversation, for this special edition of the Global Festival of Innovation and Social Technology. How are you, Steffi?
I'm pretty good. Thanks, Eva. Super excited too to be here today and to share some insights into civic tech with all of you. So yeah, pretty cool. So yeah, I'm Steffi. I'm a software engineer working for Wingu since the beginning of this year. And today, what are we going to talk about? So we will provide you some insights into civic tech. What is it? What is civic tech? We will give you some examples of projects we are currently working on, and we will also focus on one quite special project to provide you some insights on that too. And then we will also talk about how to achieve the social impact we want to drive with civic tech. And of course, we will also talk about the organization we are working for, about Wingu, and why it's a really cool place to work for.
Because it is, right? So yeah, thanks for that introduction. We have, as you see, a very rich agenda and topics we would like to introduce. So let's start, right? So yeah, again, my name is Sebastián. I'm managing the Civic Tech team at Wingu. I learned every day about different social topics where technology can help, and it's always a big challenge to find the proper way to implement it. And why not to lead a professional engineer or dev team that is focused on increasing that impact on social projects. So yeah, I'm very glad to have this opportunity to share with you some of that experiences. And I hope, of course, we can inspire you to be part of this kind of civic tech or civic technology uh, hub, right? So I would like to ask us at least one first question in order to discover our main topic, that is what is civic tech. And the question I would like to bring here is what has changed in the last few years, right? Remaining to technology, of course. So what we are seeing is that there is a proliferation of free and, of course, powerful technology tools. And I always like to introduce the example of Google Docs that exists now. And I think most of the people here are using Google Docs. But maybe we take for granted just how amazing it is to be able to go in and like see everybody's little cursor working there and having that sense of like live collaboration. Because of course you remember, Steffi, before we were all sending like 20 different versions of the same document, like named it final version dot 3 dot 4 dot 5. So now that concept is everywhere around technology, and it really changed the game. It's made things a lot easier. So technology is more accessible now than it ever was before. So with that concept and with that understanding, now we can say that we can lead projects that even like 5 or 10 years ago would have taken us thousands of dollars or a huge technical team actually to make it, to start it, or to achieve. So now we can do some of this stuff with pretty much only our knowledge, why not, and of course the opportunity and the effort. So the second question is actually, what is civic tech about? Um, of course, this is our definition because it's a concept that, based on our experiences, can change a lot. But we looked how our societies and communities where we are growing up are themselves growing up and being asked to do more and more, yeah, but with less and less resources. So I think that civic tech is a concept, and it's just about using 21st century tools to solve 21st century problems. And that will range from using data, big data analytics, or smart AI, taking advantage of on this kind of explosion of open data government, to just doing basic things like improving our apps or improving our NG processes. So when we talk about civic tech or civic technology, we talk about projects that combines different areas but are oriented to strengthen the society, that communities, and solve, or at least try to solve some social problems. And that's actually our mission at Wingu. So just to finish that roadmap about civic tech, let's talk about some examples, right? So we were talking about this offer of data, for example, and data government that make public a lot of things. And this offer is, I think, bring us this kind of technological tools, but to supply an important demand to set up civic participation. And here we have a couple of examples where we can, with tech tools, set up that civic participation. So, for example, we developed solutions to let journalists, in particular in Colombia, to easily access, cross, and analyze public data to identify potential corruption cases. And for example, for this project, we made millions of records on a web app using Google Spreadsheet as main database, uh, and through an ETL process using Nifi, Elasticsearch, and advanced tech tools, we make that records available for that journalist to let them find easily. Yeah, again, that concept, uh, corruption cases, etc. But talking about civic participation, we can also bring here a case of Caminos de la Villa, where we build a platform in another topic in collaboration with ASIG, that is an expert NGO on equality and justice, to let citizens of what we call villas can monitor that urbanization processes that government promised. So that's, for example, another project. And for last, if we talk about elections, that maybe is the easier way to think about our own civic participation. On that case, we collaborate with NGOs that are experts on a topic to map over different election processes what are candidates thinking and taking positions about different topics that those NGOs consider key for their public. So that are three like typical cases where we are working on civic tech projects. But Steffi, I think you can introduce us to another kind also of projects that are also potentially for positive impact, right?
Yeah, and Seba, I really like the way you explained how we collaborate with different organizations, because that's really what it is about. I mean, at Wingu, we are working in civic tech, so we kind of provide the technical expertise, but then we just collaborate with those incredible other organizations, as we do in the project I will be talking about. And the name of that project is Chaco Innova. And we are collaborating with actually two organizations on that project. One is Fundación Gran Chaco, and it's really nice to work with them because they are really an expert in their field. They are working together with indigenous communities in the north of Argentina since more than 20 years. They are active in 6 different regions, and they are supporting the formation of local organizations. So if there are business popping up, they just provide them some support to grow their own businesses, and also providing them kind of a network to ease the process of collaboration in between those indigenous communities. And their main focus, which is also our project is also in that part, they are focusing on strengthening women, so also strengthening their autonomy, their networking processes, their self-management, and also kind of supporting them to generate economic value, but also social and environmental value. So, and how are they doing this? As I said, more than 20 years. So they have done quite a lot of projects. And in the more recent years, they also start to involve technology. So giving access and kind of consulting how the communities can use technology as tools to ease and improve the processes. And the next collaboration is with Kumar. So Coma is actually a cooperation of indigenous women in the province of Chaco. And this is the cooperation for whom we are currently implementing an application. So they are producing handicrafts since quite a couple of years, and they have a process in place. So the business is running, but there is not one main application or one main system. And that's actually what we are currently working on. So just that they have this one tool they can use to improve their processes and then hopefully also scale up their business. So the scope is that we implement this one application. And what's really interesting while working on this project is there are quite high requirements in terms of the user experience. So we just have in civic tech the focus on different topics. Like, for example, we will provide different languages, for example, also Wichia, but also Spanish. And yeah, we also have a focus on the offline usage as the internet connectivity is not that sufficient always. So that's also one of our main focus while working on this project. And we also designed this application for users who are potentially analphabets. So while designing this application, we just have a different and quite interesting focus. And yeah, hopefully in the end, it's just a way to provide a tool for this community to grow their business even further.
And that challenges you named are also technical challenges for us, right?
Yeah, of course. So it's again a greenfield project, as we are often working on at Wingu. And so at the beginning, we also make the draft for the whole architecture and also decide on the whole tech stack and just think about what are the technologies which are most suitable to use for this project. So from a tech perspective, that's really an interesting process. You're right.
Cool. So while we don't talk a little bit about how, right? About how to start, or at least how to start, but how to achieve these kind of projects that are a big project that involves big communities around. So I think it's very important here to understand that we have to work and find an organization, an NGO, a foundation that is an expert on the subject. In the case Steffi brings us, of course, there is an NGO working on the fields with a lot of expertise on that topic. And I think also we always have the focus on adapting the technology to the needs and the requirements of that community, of those communities. And not to force the community to necessarily adopt our idea. So for this, what we will seek through the Agile framework, of course, is to first attack the impossibility, why not, of accurately predicting what will happen and making decisions based only on our experience. So for this, we will take like small, quick steps that increase the value on the product, and we will stop every time to with the team to analyze, to review, to perfect what we are doing. So what we are trying to do here is work with these communities, providing them technical expertise, but not to show them how to, but to let them discover the real actual needs for the application they need. So we always start all our development process with a product discovery. With that stage, we are taking time to get to know the problem at a low level. We put the users in the center of the scene and collectively build that MVP, that small product with the community that will give us the whole roadmap based on their needs, actually. So, yeah.
So now we talked a lot about collaboration with our clients, with all the NGOs and charities we are working together with. But maybe some insights on how it's actually to work within the organization Wingu are interesting too. So for me, it's really nice to work for Wingu, most of all because it is an opportunity to work in civic tech. And by now, you probably see why that can be really interesting. So just using tech as a tool to have a social impact and to work on projects or spend my daily time with working projects which are actually close to my heart. That's just really nice for the motivation. So to get up every day and say like, yeah, okay, I want to work on that. And it's also really nice to work with the people at Wingu, with whom I share so many values. And yeah, to just have those talented and also caring people around me. It's just a really nice working environment. And yeah, not at the least, it's also quite important, the tech perspective. So most of the projects, we always have the possibility to really create it from a technical perspective in a way we want, because we are the organization providing the technical expertise. So we also can pick new technologies if it makes sense, and then also learn a lot of new stuff. And working on greenfield projects also just gives you a broad view on the product. And there's also always the possibility to co-shape or co-design the process and the application. So we are all working together really closely. So I'm always working with the product owners in the project, with the project managers, with the designers, and also with the NGOs we are collaborating with. So yeah, it's just being really closely in touch and yeah, sharing all the thoughts and trying to make the best out of the process and out of the project to getting to a success.
That's so cool. So yeah, definitely I agree. We have here in Wingu a very professional team, a diverse team. So yeah, I think we are done, right, with the agenda. But yeah, I will say if you're why not a software engineer, of course, a dev, even a student that is watching us, if you're watching us, I mean, the idea, the main idea we have is that you can also see the social sector as a place where you can develop yourself as professional, right?
Yeah, so join us working in civic tech. It's really an interesting and exciting field. And yeah, just get in touch with us, get in touch with Wingu if you're interested to join.
Cool. So thank you, Steffi, a lot for your time, and thank you for
Seba.
sharing with us your experiences and your time. And yeah, you're invited then. Thank you so much for joining.